rise and face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if you please bow your head for a moment. This is an easy one. Dear God, please and thank you for your blessing of nourishing the earth for our ranchers and our farmers and our firefighters and everybody else. It's been beautiful. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, reading and approval of minutes of May 5th, 8th, and 12th.
Motion by Hack. Second by Folkerts. Discussion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Approval of agenda. We're just waiting for one thing to come in yet for the bucket, but we variance, but we didn't get anything, so maybe it'll show up between now and Daniel. So we'll approve the agenda. So motion by Stern. Second by Folkerts. Discussion. All in favor of approving this agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Jared, you guys are up.
Okay, thank you. All right, so tonight I'm just going to basically touch a little bit on some project status, and I want to walk through some CIP plan updates that we're suggesting. So looking at the agenda here, generally, we've been in touch on Expedition Estates. They did finish the paving loop. They had lots of work still to do out there. The last I had left it, I did visit with William from Expedition, or from Williams Building Company, and they're still working on a solution for 11. I think you have a moratorium on building permits for the moment until that gets resolved, and I'm happy to help work through that process, but I feel like the ball's in their court at this moment as far as suggesting next steps.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
Does anybody feel like we need to change or lift up moratorium at this point?
Okay, so yeah, alley improvements, nothing really to talk about here, just some minor little work left to wrap up before we can make final payments. A few minor corrective issues there to do, but Aiden's got that on our list. We did a walkthrough right now. Things look pretty darn good for a project at this point. Sanitary sewer improvement project is supposed to start this week. They start with the spot repairs, then the lining, then the manhole rehabs. At this point with the moisture, you got to think these contractors are wrapping up projects in other places, so could delay them. In the last weeks of rain could delay them somewhere else. It could have a chain reaction for us. But there's been weekly construction meetings. Some of you have been on the call. Grant's leading those meetings, and we'll just keep you in the loop with when things are going to start. I would probably imagine we'll be starting to make payments to the contractors starting in June. Then really, I'd like to go to the capital improvement plan portion. So back in March, more engineering, Monty, Casey, public works staff, basically the capital improvement plan that we all worked on together back in January 2023. You have a list of project needs, and the way this all kind of works is you inventory your assets, figure out the life expectancy of most things, and then you can predict when they're going to fail and when they're going to be replaced. It's a bit of a moving target, and every community that I've always worked in or ever worked in has had to add to or modify that list. Okay, so I'm bragging right now, but what you have is like a web-based CIP system. It's a tool that Monty can access and look at. Here's the list of improvement projects. So You can modify them, you can change dollar amounts, you can take something from high priority to low priority. You guys, like, we've developed this tool, we don't charge for it. So the communities that we work with can just use it, right? But it needs periodic updates. You've done some of the work since we met in January of 2023. So if you go back to that PDF, Monty, I just want to point out, so this was, we kind of prioritized things as high priority, medium priority, and low priority. So since January of 2023, the top three things on that list have been basically crossed off the list. There's some, and these were this is the priority you guys helped with, and then we basically guessed on what year things were going to happen. Some of these things are going to slide. They always do. You're going to push it back to 26 or 27 or 28 or 29. The thing is, with the CIP system, it's very easy to do that. You just change the year and modify it. I'll caution you though, like when you do that, it'll automatically like raise the construction costs up. So you push something back 10 years and you say, well, why is it $2 million instead of $1 million? It's like, well, that's what we would expect. So this is a planning tool. You should use this. New council members, new public works, new staff. You know, when you're setting budgets for the following years, if there's some things you want to budget for and do, so be it. So some of the things you still had on there is high need things. Some of these aren't CIP things, but they're kind of related to CIPs. So like updating some regulations related to subdivisions. Your water service line inventory is ongoing. I can tell you, I do anticipate you getting some funding next year to do what they call phase 2. So phase 1 of the water service line inventory was building a database, going through the city's records, sending out an inventory of the public, and then basically doing the easy stuff. A lot of the small towns in the state are doing what's called phase 2 right now, is where the state has hired us to go around, knock on doors, update the database. You guys have records now from when we did the meter installation.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're patient, we can take that data, and when the state issues us a work order next year, we can update that database. It probably won't cost you anything, but you're just gonna have to kind of sit on that data right now. So some things that are coming, if we do find any lead, which I don't think we found any lead or galvanized that I'm aware of in town, you know, then replacing some of those service lines will be kind of on that list. You can kind of see there's a best guess on what the cost is. Well, it's a moving target, right? You know, if we find 100 lead service lines, that's going to go to 2 million rather than just 100,000. So as more data gets available, as you dive into things, that changes. Lift station upgrades has been something that you've been working through it. We've gotten 2 lift stations fully updated. There's going to have to be a conversation on when to do more of those. So lift stations, you know, pump all your waste in town, but portions of them have a life expectancy. Pumps and controls are notorious for going out. Depending on the size and age, I mean, that could be between 50 grand and 200 grand. So I've got 600,000 on there for what I estimated it to cost to fully upgrade all those lift stations. You could do that in chunks, but it's got to be on your radar. We can slide that out. Not a problem, but at some point it's going to start getting to be important. Main Street beautification. I guess what I would basically say about that is we had put some real rough numbers together at one point on some street lighting and some, I think maybe even some bump outs or something like that, some aesthetic things, which I don't believe is a high priority. Maybe we should move that down on your list at some point. Some of the funding agencies are requiring us to have a capital improvement plan. So you have one. Sometimes a funding source comes out, like the previous governor really valued Main Street initiative stuff and wanted to see investments in Main Street. Well, that could have been an attractive project. You maybe could have gone after that, but I think the feeling or the priorities of this governor are a little different. So I don't know if there will be any grant money to enhance Main Street or not. New biennium starts in July, so I guess we'll see. Here's these are some city ordinances related to stormwater that were a little bit outdated. I think we kind of learned or had heard that the county, I think, updated some of theirs. So these are some things that are just on the list. Some of these are some cheap things and some of them are really expensive things, but hopefully you can budget for some of it, continue to address things. Lagoon rehabilitation. I don't know if I'd call that a high priority, but it can become a high priority.
What does that mean?
Okay, so you got a 4-cell wastewater lagoon system up there, and one of the cells was added in 2005. That cell is 20 years old. That is probably in better shape than the other ones. The other ones, so there's levees around the whole thing, and they're supposed to be constructed a certain way. It's supposed to be riprap. That riprap gets beat up by the waves. Eventually, those levees are supposed to be like this, either go like this, or they flatten out to nothing. So at some point, rehabbing those levees is going to be a need. What that means is stripping off all the chunks of concrete out there, shaping them, and then now what we do is we install erosion control fabric and riprap around the whole thing. It's not a fancy job, but when the public works guys can't drive around them anymore, it gets to be dangerous, or we get close to a failure, then we got to do something. So it's coming. It's one of those things. If I see of any funding opportunity, I'll let you know. But it's an expensive thing to take on. Yeah. It's not that you need more capacity. It's just that the one cell is 20 years old, and the rest of them are even older.
Is that the north cell?
Is that the oldest one?
No, that's the newest one.
Or that, yeah.
That's the newest
Most recent one.
So that one's in great shape. The other ones are getting rough. Especially think of the northwest wind. Those southeast sides are really kind of flattening out. Most people go as long as you possibly can, but at some point it'll. So, anyways, it's a medium or it's right there on the list. I do not anticipate you doing it in 2026 unless something happens or unless there gets to be some money available for it. As we go down the list, I think the next thing in my mind is street rehab. You guys did the streets in 2018. They're going to need a chip seal in 2028. So we got that basically right here on your radar, scheduled for 2028. Along with that, I would probably suggest we look at paving those gravel streets that were protested out on Deopolis. No, Elbow Woods again, but that's I mean.
No, I think so too, Jared. I've had a lot of the people that live on that street, there's been some change of ownership, and I think some that voted no wish they would have voted yes, but I remind them that would have been the cheapest time to do it, and it's going to be more expensive, so.
Yep. So
it'll be on their shoulders. But
anyway, this is the capital improvement plan. I would suggest that if you're not in the loop, we can get you. Every single project when you go into the app has some data or a lot of data. Some have some photos and some maps. Some don't because they're probably they're just not that far along. It's on your radar, but it could be this big or it could be this big. There's lots of options with it. And until you get a full engineering study or design done, these numbers are best guess, and we kind of update them as needed. But that's as far as I wanted to really go. Otherwise, these ones you can kind of see are probably quite a ways out there. There are a couple things that we met in March that have kind of become nagging things or suggested additions to the capital improvement plan. And so number one was the street replacement around Senex. So, Senex roadway improvements we call high priority. That's page number 3 here. Um, sorry. No, sorry, you're right, Monty. Yeah, no, yeah, please go back down. There you go. So these 4 projects I would like to add to your capital improvement plan. And each one of them is going to need more scoping because if you think of the road by Sanex, well, is that just 1 block or is it 2 blocks or is it 10 blocks? I don't know, but it should be on the community's radar as an upcoming need. And if you decide you want to go after it for funding, it probably is going to have to be on your capital improvement plan list. So when we met in March, we didn't have dollar amounts figured out, but what we did was we put together a map and a cost for doing defined projects. And for instance, that Senex roadway improvements job includes something like this. It's a concrete road all the way around and going to that area right there. Where we're at right now is the last you had told was to work a little further on this one to develop a defined scope, a better cost estimate, and then show you what the estimated assessments would be. I don't have that yet. Like it's going to be at least another month until we have.
You just got it a week ago.
Yeah. Yep. So I'd like to place this on your CIP somewhere. I think we're calling it a high priority, which just means it should be on your more near-term radar. I'd like to go to the next project then. So this is something that kind of came up. Public Works dealt with some running sewer, some water issues last year. So what we're calling this whole part of town with the grocery store over here is kind of served by long water mains. There's no valves to be able to shut things off. So what we called this was a water main looping. So running a water main across the road here and then installing some valving in that part of town so they could basically operate that. They could shut down areas without shutting down that whole part of town. Seemed like a good idea. I would probably think of this as something like if all of a sudden you decided you were doing some water system improvement work in town and it was time to apply for funding, you would either consider adding this or not adding this. So what we show is the estimated cost here is about $420,000. Again, I mean, if you add 2 valves versus 20 valves, it's different. So it's identified. There is an identified scope that goes with this, and I would, I just like in the water system guy's eyes, this is probably a higher priority than other people's eyes, and you as the commission need to probably put it on the list somewhere. I think they'd like to see this done now, but I don't know what the reality is for.
It's kind of ridiculous. We're digging for that leak in the ditch. We got to shut out that whole part of town. That's
Right. So this would be a solution to that. But I'd like to go on to the next ones just to kind of let you look at what we. Okay, so in this part of town, I kind of mentioned inventory your assets. So when I think of water main, you're sitting pretty well for a city. If you've got PVC water main pipe, we're generally considering you good. Like PVC has somewhere between a 50 and 100-year life expectancy. That's a big range, obviously, but it's kind of thought of as a permanent solution. What's that?
That sounds like you're a weatherman.
Yeah, it's kind of thought of as a permanent solution. It's flexible. It's going to move with the soil. Other than some of the really early PVC that was really thin, we don't see a lot of problems with PVC pipe. So then they moved into cast iron. You don't have any cast iron water main pipe that I'm aware of. You have some cast iron force mains that lead from some lift stations to go to the lagoon, but generally that's gone. And then the next newest pipe is asbestos cement pipe. So you got 2 areas in town that have asbestos cement pipe. So you can see on the map, those, if you really look close, the red areas, it's in some alleys and maybe along one street there. But your CIP plan should be including addressing this asbestos cement pipe. Because asbestos of that age, a lot of cities are replacing it.
Looks like that's all street.
You're-
Is the
You're right.
Yeah,
south-
it is, it is.
That's my bad. My bad.
That's also-
I'm wrong.
8th and 7th.
So in some towns, it's priority. In other towns, you're limping it along as long as you can. And we'll know when it's time because it'll be breaking and brittle and you won't be able to fix it, or it'll be a winter of hell because you're fixing it over and over and over again. But you don't want to get to that point, obviously. I mean,
And that'd be relined.
asbestos cement pipe can be replaced trenchlessly, but not, There- so there's two technologies that are approved. We can leave it in place, directionally bore one next to it, or on the other side of the sewer. Or there's a newer technology it's kind of like bursting, where they ream it out and they actually kind of drill it out and then they suck out all the it's like it'll turn into like a liquid whatever. So they use the old pipe as a conduit to burst the old one, but they have to get rid of all the asbestos with it, and then the asbestos gets landfilled. So there's two trenchless ways to do it. We got cost estimates for both of them. Again, I can't tell you where to place these. I can't tell you how long the asbestos cement pipe is going to last, but I can tell you that those two areas are nearing the end of their life expectancy, just because of the age and expected life of those areas. So,
Jared,
yes, sir.
I just have a question. So anyway, then, then in the nineties and stuff, I think they swapped out a bunch of this water line. I was just curious, I guess, why they didn't do that.
I would guess because in the 90s, your cast iron was reaching the 50 to 60 year age, and this asbestos cement pipe was probably put in the 60s and 70s. It was only 20 or 30 years old at that point. Because yeah, we looked through those record drawings of that job in the 90s, and they were cleaning house on cast iron at the time. So, I have to place these projects on your list somewhere for you. You can then change them. My thought is that I'm going to be reminding you every year that these are priorities or that they're needs. You can choose to do them, you can choose not to do them. I don't think you can do everything at once, obviously, but you can budget for some of them, or when all of a sudden this project gets to be more of a priority because funding's available or because it's a need, right? I mean, that's the, we gotta work together on some of that stuff. So, any questions on the general scope of these things, though? We probably spent an hour and a half that night, Casey, and we didn't have answers yet. So answers are costs and a map, but we generally knew what we kind of knew what to expect. So now I think I would like to see a motion basically approving us to update the CIP, but then again, you can place them wherever you want and then adjust them. And I'll change them whenever.
I'm good with that too.
Do any of these projects make sense to combine together to try to get a little more economy of scale? Is that a fair question, or is it too early in the process to really make those types of determinations as they're putting together their budget?
So if you go to the overall list, you can, yes, so, 2028, when it chip seal the streets, right? Well, if there's anything that you want to get done before then, and we should get done before then. But yes, I mean, doing a larger water main project. Yes, it'd be make a lot of sense to do fewer larger water main jobs. What's practical? I mean, generally a $3 to $5 million construction project's pretty big construction project for North Dakota. So I would say yes and no. If we're trying to get like a BDK or somebody in to do this, then we'd want to make it bigger and more attractive and probably get a better price on it. What else can I say here? Funding. So the funding's hard. Funding changes all the time. You guys did the street project in 2018. You used a program called the North Dakota Infrastructure Revolving Loan Fund. That's basically kind of going away now. Like it's a revolving fund now, so you'd have to apply to get that. So you got 2% interest loan on that. You could apply in a year or so if you want to use that to do the chip sealing, street improvements. But it's not a guarantee. The money you use for the water meters and then the water tank on the north side of town was the Department of Water Resources. That was a 60% cost share. That's a lot more competitive now too. So all of these things are harder to get funding. It's just the federal government money is really hard right now for obvious reasons. But then our state trimmed their available budgets a lot because they're predicting oil to be less, so our state's gonna have less money. So all of these things have longer lead time than you normally would expect. So I feel like just doing my job, I'll just periodically bring up the CIP. Kind of use it as a guide, and if you decide you want to add stuff to it, we'll add stuff. If you take something from a medium priority, make it a high priority, so be it. But at least it's on everybody's radars. No, okay. Questions?
No, we need a motion to update the CIP then. We're not spending money, we're just gonna
get it on
just
to the
up-
CIP.
Just please, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good for me. Then I know that we got at least some buy-in that these are future needs, and we'll keep on everybody's radars.
But you're right also, like the beautification, there's things that you move up to, but in my opinion, it's the lift stations and water. That street percentage are big ones.
I feel the same way.
Cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, I do. There's never enough money to go around. I mean, if you add all this stuff together, it's like mind-boggling if you think of how much it costs. But when I see something that is an opportunity, I will bring it up. You guys decide to do it or not do it, so be it. But this is helpful for us, if nothing else, I guess.
I'd like to make a motion to get these drafts on to our CIP.
Yeah, motion by Hack. Second. Second by Folkerts. Discussion. Do we need a roll call, Monty?
Not necessarily.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, that's all I had. I guess budgets in August, right, Monty? Like, if at that time we can budget for any of these things, that's good because then it gives us time to find some funding. If we need to bidding projects in January, February is a good time. I think Winkler said that to you guys the other day. That was kind of lock in their prices for the year. So I'm just going to bring it up at that time, and what happens happens.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. 6A, annual permit request for a common thread Quilter Guild raffle, September 6th.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Weidrich, second by Hack. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Then we have the fire and iron permit. I have that one. What is-
You just filled it out today. They're gonna do a 50-50 raffle on June 14th to help raise funds for medical expenses for Tasia Weeks.
Motion to approve. Motion by Weidrich.
Second.
Second by Folkerts. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, moving along, 7A. Second reading for the Model D floodplain ordinance that Monty brought up last meeting. No changes, Monty?
No changes.
Approve. Motion by Weidrich. Second by Hack. Discussion. Roll call that.
Weidrich.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Folkerts.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Martin. That's like a pain in the butt. First reading, fireworks ordinance revisions. And I think if I recall right, the only revisions we made was on fines.
And the public
Oh, yeah.
took the roadways out.
Probably, yeah. If there's no other changes or additions, we'll make our first reading official. Okay, motion by Weidrich.
Second.
Second by Stern. Discussion. Roll call.
Weidrich.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Folkerts.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Alright, 8A, declares requesting a building permit for any storage structure on the property just east of the Workover Solutions along the frontage road. Now, this is commercial, so there's no variances, correct, Monty?
Yes, there are no variances.
So we just, there's not much rest to it. Unless there's something you want to add, you good, okay? Anybody have any questions for Mr. Players on this?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Weidrich,
Second.
second by Folkerts. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We starting that project ASAP.
Yeah, yesterday. pretty much. Well, I mean,
All right, now we got the 8B, we got the Eli Puckett situation. What's the latest? What's the variance? What do we? I haven't seen anything yet. If you weren't here, we were gonna say no.
well, I'm not about it because I don't know, did Eli initiate that or was that kind of more by you guys on the board?
No, that was actually Mike came and talked to me about it
Okay,
Thursday.
generated by
Yeah.
conversation, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, 7 foot, easement is required. We're at 5, I do believe right now. We had planned to go at 7 based on our, utility locate. Turns out that was plus or minus 2 feet, and so it's looking more like 5 feet right now as it exists. We can still move it, but we don't want to, we don't have to. So it kind of depends on how deep the line is. If everybody's going to deal with the accessibility of it all, of the current water line. And actually, he's gonna have to do tie-in right there along what would be the northeast side. On that diagonal. Since he'd be doing a tie-in, if he could move it, or, you know, he'd be open to that possibility of, or it'd at least be an opportunity to fix something if it was broke or do correctly, so.
Generally, other areas of town have a 7-foot easement on both sides of the water mains. There are areas of town that have a 5-foot easement on both sides of the water main. Mr. Puckett did call me today and said he had information in his abstract or deed that said the water line had been moved and was within the 10-foot easement. So realistically, if they are at 5, they would be 5 feet either side of the line would be their easement. Now, I didn't get to see those documents, but I can't argue that it wouldn't be true. And basically, the property line is right on this water main going through here, so.
So if we had to tear it up, right now, we'd have 10 feet.
Yeah.
They've already got footings.
No,
No.
we just won't work in drainage, it's just all get done.
Forms.
Have to wash away anyways after the rain, so.
Right.
So we do have some rework to do anyways. Would be the end of the world. Definitely want to do it right. Yeah.
So moving the tie-in, where would that be at, Monty? And what benefit would that give the city?
There would be no benefit to the city. They can tie into this main anywhere they want. It's just a matter of where they want it. So if there's driveway here, they're not under driveway if they can avoid it, or, wherever is gonna be most convenient for them as far as their
Yeah.
water service.
Like we had dealt with earlier this winter.
Yeah. I mean, they can put it back here if they want and run a line all the way to the new building. Sure.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna tee off like 5-10 feet northwest of the hydrant. And then tee off and put a curb stop in the driveway, just right on the edge of it.
Yeah.
In the concrete?
Just
And
a
the-
curb stop.
Oh, on the edge, okay.
Right on the edge of it.
And if it's in the driveway, they always use those cans anyway,
Yeah.
so you can get at it. It's just a matter of,
Just know Jocelyn's was a big mess because it was like in the middle of her driveway.
Yeah. So I guess basically, if it's 10-foot easement, if they're 5 feet, they're off the easement, so it's a moot point, basically. So I don't know if Michael has any of that information, or,
I think that's about what I know, he knows, discussing with Eli today. If he had said he'd follow some documentation or supported his, side of it all, but I guess my biggest concern or question was how deep would that line be? I guess 6 feet, 8 feet?
I'm gonna say, well, I guess that one's probably 8.
So if it went, I mean, I would prefer to be the full separation away, but Eli, he felt it was okay. I mean, pretty close.
Is that sandy soil there, or is it more clay?
It's stickier. Just because it's,
If it was real sandy, I would definitely say no.
Hmm.
If you did have to dig that up, then you're possibly messing with the foundation, but.
When them break, they do make a big hole. That'd be the same schedule pipe or same size pipe that blew up by the water tower that 1 year.
That's 6-inch pipe, yeah.
Quite a mess. Same age pipe as that break. They were put it in the same.
That's still crazy, that's that. What does the board want to do? Approve this 2-foot variance or?
If it's required.
Right. Well, I think we need to see paperwork
But
and.
I'm assuming you're not gonna go anywhere forward on this project, I sure.
no, we're.
So, could
Have
we,
have Eli bring that into Monty, please.
could we table it to the next meeting and,
Well, I don't know if they want to wait 2 weeks. but-
well, are you gonna
Do
get in there?
conditional based on paperwork, it is what he had, because I haven't even seen it either. I
Yeah.
just had word of mouth type thing. So,
Yeah, I think we should see it.
Or do you want to do it conditional?
Yep, we need to do it conditionally on the paperwork.
Well,
That's-
if there is the paperwork, we don't technically have to prove it, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Monty, you want me to submit that to you, if I can find it,
Yeah.
or have him do it to you?
Please.
So we really don't have to. take
So
it
we're
back.
we're in the holding pattern. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep, thank you. Other reports, water sewer garbage truck.
So then our spare one, I guess it broke down, I guess. Or maybe I'll let Dave, I guess, speak more about.
Yeah, emission systems went down on it, so we put it into the D-rate mode, so it's stuck at 5 miles an hour and going up to over 1,000 RPM. Got an appointment over at Mandate, check it out tomorrow, but what kind of costs, I know them, half units for them burners or whatever, it can be really expensive to get down. What kind of, spending ratio?
Hopefully they can do road and it's fine.
So I guess my thought, is on our spare truck, if we say that we're gonna spend like $5,000 as maximum. $8 would be.
Yeah, that'd be a good place to start. Seems like diagnosis takes up usually a good 1,000 or whatever, so, yeah.
So then next with that, then I move, I guess, that we spend. That we spend, I guess, no more than, I guess, another $5,000
Okay,
on
motion
our
by,
half truck.
sorry,
That's fine.
motion by Stern.
Second.
Dave.
Second.
Second by Weider. Discussion. So in the meantime, we're using Beal's truck.
Yeah.
And we can't haul landfilling out because they're not letting us down.
They're not letting us dump right now with all the rain or whatever. I don't know when we'll get out there.
Up the hill.
All right, we have a motion and a second, roll call.
Stern.
Aye.
Weidrich.
Aye.
Folkerts.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried.
So we got the other garbage truck, a good one. Anyway, there's a quote, I guess, like transmission work there. One Bismarck, I believe.
What was the one at, Freedom Truck, was it
15.
15 something?
Yeah. 15.4, 15.5, something like that.
We don't even know if it's transmission.
Right, yeah, I just had them throw a price, basically worst case scenario. They said they'd still like to diagnose it. They said there could be a wiring problem or something other than a totally bad transmission. But it's totally up to you guys where you want to go.
So what's diagnostics of the name?
There are a few $1,000s tied up in it too. So I messaged them, wanted a little more information on what was going on with the transmission.
Interstate?
No, not interstate, Freedom. So I kind of messaged them back and forth today throughout my work schedule. And the second gear, it applies 2 different clutch packs to engage second gear. It's engaging both clutch packs. One of them is slipping, so it's got an improper gear ratio kicking out, is what's happening. And he did say there was a lot of really fine metal in the pan, Asked him where he thought that was coming from, didn't really know. It could have been the meshing of the gears not right, it could have been friction steels, could have been from that it was not clutch material, it was metal line. So he really recommended a new transmission. He said that metal is gonna be throughout the entire valve body, all the solenoids. And he said, by the time you spend the money to tear it down, to clean it all, you're not that much more and you have a reman transmission with one. Or we could spend the $800 and haul it to Bismarck. And the up sticking a transmission into it anyways. You know, it's a lot of money to replace the transmission, but with what got going on right now, you know, our other truck's down too. Did they ever give you a time estimate of when they could have the transmission in mandate? Not mandate, Freedom truck?
You figured a week, at least a week or 2 weeks. They figured about a month, by the time they'd say get it out, get it in, or whatever. It'd be pretty close to 3 weeks. When I talked to them, they wanted most of it paid for up front before they got ordered parts or whatever. But if it's just a dirty valve body or something and doesn't run to clean the valve body and put that back. Like I said, it's something.
Well, bids are pretty much the same with the shipping, hauling the truck down to Bismarck, so. Where do you want to take it?
So I guess, even if you look at the numbers and stuff, you know, it's gonna be, you know, it's a lower amount if it's, you know, here at Freedom, so.
And possibly quicker. Possibly. Because you're not
Thanks,
gonna have
guys.
shipping.
Yeah.
Shipping and diagnostics. Could get it up for 20 plus thousand.
Yeah, Freedom, plus you keep the money local. I'd like to make a motion to replace the transmission with Freedom Truck Center for, I don't remember what it was, 15,500? Up to 16,000.
Motion by Weidrich,
Second.
second by Stern. Discussion.
Did it have anything on there on that quote for warranty or, I don't know what a reman training is for.
Yeah, I don't think it said on that quote, what the warranty is, but it's maybe I missed it.
I think when I talked to Freedom, I thought he said it had like a 2-year warranty.
2-year X amount of miles.
Miles, yeah.
I'm sure
So we don't touch
over
the
the
Yeah,
mileage.
the 2 years would go by before the mile,
Yeah.
the truck only got 39,000 miles now.
I don't see a warranty on interstates either.
So Dave, then I guess, which way, I guess, would you would like us to go?
Warranty Freedom, that'd be fine with me, I guess.
The only thing I don't know if I am just being biased here, but how much money up front? I mean, are they worried that we're not gonna pay the bill? I don't know.
They might just not have the overhead to cover
Yeah.
a $7,000, $8,000 transmission.
True.
They are a smaller shop.
Yeah. Was it half, Dave, or, you know,
I
remember?
think it was somewhere right around 11,000 they want.
Cause I don't know if we
I'm
want
guessing that covers basically the parts.
All the parts or whatever, maybe a little bit of the labor.
Parts and then 100. We have motion and a second, any more discussion? No more discussion. Roll call.
Weidrich,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Folkerts,
Aye.
Hack,
I
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Good luck, Josh. Hopefully it's something less than that. Anything else, Casey?
That's all, yeah.
Streets.
I got nothing at this time.
Are we doing some patching and some cold patch at all, or?
Yeah, we've done quite a bit, but we got, now that I've opened up since, so we gotta go out and do some more again.
you. Finance blessing,
I do not have anything at this time.
please.
I got nothing with the police department or forestry. Fire, we did finally get that quote for those SCBA's. To replace what we have, we had an option at MSA or Scott's Air Pack. The ones everybody liked more was MSA. But
I
they ended
guess
up,
that was more expensive.
that was the cheaper
Oh,
one.
really?
But they ended up going with the Scott. Voodoo and the bottle. So in the MSA, the bottle life is 15 years, and the warranty on the pack is 15 year. On the Scots, the bottle life is 30 year, and the warranty on the pack is 30 year. And it was like, I wanna say $5,000 difference in price. So even though they liked the cheaper one a little bit better, nobody could get over the warranty and bottle life. So they ended up picking up that one. Where he said we don't need money yet, which we're gonna have to get with Monty to see if we have money available. But he did say he's gonna ask for 58,300 from the city. Total bill is, I just got this on my way here actually. Total on it was 171,612. He's gonna ask for 58 from the city, and then the remainder is gonna be paid for either by the fire department or by the road board. But he didn't say we need to do it. To get the money from, see where we're gonna get the money from, how. Give you guys a heads up on that.
Okay.
Or bill.
Yeah.
What? That's all I got.
Thank you. Myra, what do you got for us?
Well, we're still working on trying to build a house. We're looking at the cooperative work experience program. We're gonna meet May 30th at the Bison to talk about it more, get some things tied down a little bit. Make sure that HCD would get its money back, make sure we know who's insuring what, who's gonna own the property. And then we'll take it to our board to see if they'll fund it. They looked upon it favorably before.
Yeah.
And we're getting a few requests for RFPs now, requests for information. Most of them don't work for Hazen, but they might work for Mercer County. And I got some calls on housing. Do we need housing? We got lots available. So it's because people are hearing a little bit about town, we're getting.
Yeah.
Good news.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Myra. All right, nothing under my report. 10A, Dakota Walleye Classic sponsorship request. I don't know.
We did anything in the past with this?
I don't think so.
We've never been asked in the past.
You said we haven't been asked either before?
No.
Oh, it's
So
always
why
been
are
just
they-
strictly a Beulah thing.
Why are they looking for donations?
Well, I just know that in the past year or so, there's been lots of changes with this location. Beulah Chamber, I believe, didn't want it anymore. There's quite a few things that were But I don't know the question, the answer to the question. Mr. Weidrich, you know, this is still held at Beulah Bay. Not like it's gonna be over in Hazen Bay, but. I hear no action, then we'll move on, but. I'm not a fisherman, I just don't know much about it. It's the largest job outside tourism in the county.
If I'm right, if I remember right, the state mandates that you pay out 75% of the registration fee. Has to be paid out. And then, I wanna say 15% goes to game and fish. And then they're allowed to keep the remaining 10%.
Yeah, and I think historically, a lot of that's gone to support local charities and things like that. And I don't know if this has a direct tie-in or not, but I know one of their big things too that they spend a lot of time focusing on is that wheelchairs and walleyes, where they're trying to make more handicap accessible fishing opportunities across the state.
And now they're gonna have a station at Hazen Bay.
That's my understanding.
Right. And that's,
They've already put one of
It's
those
there, right?
stations in Beulah Bay.
oh. Okay, yeah. It is the board wanted to be a sponsor for the Dakota Walleye Classic. Hearing nothing, we will pass on this opportunity. And B, sales tax.
Just the agreement to have the state administer, collect, and distribute our sales tax back to us. As I indicated in the notes, the fee structure is the same and the fee has actually gone down a little bit because of the amount collected.
Motion by Weidrich.
Second.
And second by Polk. Discussion. Roll call.
Weidrich.
Aye.
Folkerts.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Old business, new business, Heritage Park Wi-Fi access point. Good thing.
There was an issue discovered with the Wi-Fi access that they had installed to accommodate Chalk Fest not being secured enough for the library use. It didn't meet the requirements for federally funded institutions, so this is one of the options they came up with to change it. And basically, they're putting it all in without any cost, just so they can put a sign up saying that the internet is provided by WRT. Their plan is to come out of their final plan. Initially, they wanted us to dig in power to this pole or have power on this pole. After looking at it a little bit more, they decided they could pull power out of the old bathroom there because there is still power in there. They'll just hand trench it over to their Ethernet cable over to the pole and put their antenna on there. And then they will shoot from our building to the park as far as using our Wi-Fi rather than the library, so that it's completely separate.
So who's gonna have control over that network? So that's kind of the issue that we ran into with the library.
It will be under the city's
So like the network administrators who then, just in case something in the future sort of kind of.
Generally, it'll be like all of our other ones.
Okay.
It's all run under our main phone line. And anybody in the office is the administrator.
The only thing I see an issue with it is most of the time those are line of sight. Those point-to-point accesses.
That's why they wanted to
There's-
go up on the top of our building
There's
over to
two
there.
trees in the way.
Not when we went up and looked from there.
When you were up on top, it was over the
You
top
could-
of it.
You could see, yep. Yep, you could see that part. It kind of goes right in between those. You can see that break over here. Kind of is the line of sight between those two.
Chainsaw, red on the ready. Well, I like that it's not gonna cost us anything.
So, and we don't have to worry about any filtering for this because it's a public, because it has public access, internet access, right? Like, are we completely off the hook with that then?
Right.
Like, I understand the library, that was mandated to follow the Children's Internet Protection Act because they're receiving E-rate funding. And that network, that wireless access point was installed on the library, connected to the library's network, which is administrated by state library. And they had no access or ability to get into and enable the filters that are federally mandated to be enabled. And so it's just a whole bunch of legal complications and stuff like that.
So Monty, if we do this, well, an individual still be, I mean, it'll pop up library.
No, it'll pop up City Hall.
City Hall.
Yeah, it can't have any association with the library.
Right, so the library's gonna, when you, like on an or any phone, it'll access your Wi-Fi points. You're still gonna need a code to get into the city
I
Wi-Fi.
don't believe it'll be secure.
Very unsecure.
It'll be non-secure.
To get into a browser, they might have a pop-up entering whatever information that they can sell off as their department, but
The other question is, they got fiber right to the back of the library. Why don't they just run a fiber over and put a whole new NID and a whole nother network there? Instead of doing a point-to-point system.
I think it's gonna be completely
It's
separate
gotta-
from the library.
It can't have anything.
You can off of a NID.
They don't want any, they don't want them touching at all.
Yeah. And I guess I'm not that smart.
And this, I'm sure it's a lot cheaper to do it this way.
I'm sure too, that also,
I had a point-to-point, probably not on the same scale as this equipment is, but we have also didn't buy the cheapest we had out at the farm. And it was a pain. Every time there was a windstorm, you were out there adjusting it. Anything gets in the way.
Well, that's WRT's issue, not ours.
Another question is, do you know, does the chamber pay for internet at the fire park? I'm kind of curious as to.
I think they do, they used
I-
to, maybe they don't.
My understanding is that West River did the same thing over there, so long as they have the signage.
Yeah.
West River covered the cost of
Okay,
equipment and
Yep. There's a sign there.
Yeah, I saw the sign there, and that's what I was kind of confused as.
That line got cut.
the electrical line.
The
The electrical line got cut, yeah.
They fixed that.
I don't know if it's fixed yet, but they are working on it.
And West River's.
So we need a motion on this? This really?
Yeah, since it's gonna be on the city property, yeah.
And I suppose they're gonna end up drilling holes and attaching stuff to city building.
Well, they're gonna drill a hole through that, yeah. And they'll have a DOE over there.
But we're not exposed to any liability for having this network there.
No, I can't think of any situation where you would have any exposure.
And they're staying off of the tower, right? As you questioned them in the emails.
Yeah, they're not gonna go on that tower, they're gonna put a different antenna.
Guess I'll make a motion to approve.
I'm sure we heard
Second.
Second by Hack, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Public. Approval of bills and financial statements, please.
Motion to approve the bills as presented.
Motion by Weaver,
Second.
second by Stern. Discussion. Roll call.
Weidrich,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Folkerts,
Aye.
Hack, Omenauer.
Aye. All right. Bills are paid, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.